Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from Monday, March 16th, 2026 in the space and time continuum. And looking at my notes from just a week ago, it seems like, again, like every week, it seems like the things that were being talked about only a week ago were a month ago. Because again, there's just so much, too much happening all the time. A week ago was when it came out that, yes, the United States, the Pentagon announced a preliminary investigation saying, yes, it was the United States that killed 160 or something children and 175 total, 150 or 60 of them were children. In a school, we targeted a school. Now, it sounds like it was because we were using information that was outdated. And that, to me, really is not a good enough excuse. Another point that was made in a hearing last week by General Grenkowicz, he said, what I've observed over the course of studying air power in history is that anytime you attack a civilian population, you usually end up finding that it just hardens their resolve. We all know that that's how you create terrorists, is by, really, the Republicans are talking about now that Iran has been killing Americans for 47 years, going back to 1979. Well, the 1979 whole mess in Iran, where they took our hostages, that was in retaliation for us killing their democratically elected leadership in, I believe it was 1953 under Eisenhower, and replacing him with somebody that we wanted. That was the Shah of Iran back in the 50s. And they were, the Ayatollah then took over the Shah. That was what happened in 1979. So, begets. We attack you, you attack us. And oftentimes, people are patient. Countries are patient. Anyway, so that's what was going on a week ago. Also, we found out that Keg Breath has been spending insane things. While they were busy cutting SNAP and health care for working families, Pete Keg Breath spent $2 million on king crab, nearly $7 million on lobster tails, and nearly $100,000 on a grand piano for a staffer of his. That's just part of the atrociousness. We have all these airplanes being bought. We have the $220 million campaign that Kristi Noem was talking about. Now she is being recommended to DOJ to look into perjury claims because she obviously lied to, or if she didn't, then Donald Trump is lying. So anyway, she probably perjured herself, but Donald Trump is claiming he did not know about the $220 million ad campaign that she said he approved. One of them is lying, and Congress wants to find out more about it. We will see what DOJ does with that, because, of course, that means it's up to Pam Bondi to possibly bust her friend, Kristi Noem. Is that going to happen? The Zorro Ranch actually is being searched. That started last week, where they actually are going out there and searching. There are not a lot of details about it, but, and it was also less than a week ago that James Comer was asked about why was the Zorro Ranch search shut down in 2019. James Comer like, that was the federal government shut it down. The state was was going to look into Zorro Ranch. There's all these horrible things going on there. Maybe some illegal surgeries. It's like, whoa, okay. I don't think anyone heard about that, but he obviously did. And we heard last week, I reported on that Jeffrey Epstein was in charge of some of these girls' medical care. So anyway, James Comer knows an awful lot, apparently, and he's like, but then the federal government came in and shut it down. And Fox News said, well, what part of the federal government? The Department of Justice, the DOJ. But that was Trump's DOJ. It's not my fault. It's not my fault Biden didn't do it. It's not my fault Biden didn't shut it down. It's not my fault. And also, it was reported that Todd Blanche says he did not include files from the Epstein files. He held them back because if they included death, torture, or I guess sexual rape, things like that. So he's saying that a lot of the files include raping children, the death of children, torturing children. But he's not going to let us see those. No, those would indict rich elite people who are sick, who need to be in prison or retired from this planet. Ugh. So this is the brain power that we're working with. Todd Blanche saying that, of course, is quite telling, but he's too dumb, I guess, to know that. Also last week, the shoes, the clown shoes. Trump is apparently giving his cabinet shoes and they're scared not to wear them. And he just bought like the largest size, so none of them fit. I've seen photographs, but these days you don't even know if you can trust a photograph. The fact that there's a chance that you believe such a story, it's like a dictator. He would execute the guy who stopped applauding for him first. So then everybody's applauding longer and longer because everybody's afraid to be the first one to stop applauding because you're going to get pushed out a window or something. Trump's doing it with the shoes. Who's the first one to not wear the shoes Trump gave him? And this, I don't know if that's true, but the fact that I think it might be, this is where we're at. So I'm just going down my list here. And I did want to point out, too, that because we're talking now a lot about the quote-unquote suicide of Epstein. No. Have you seen a recording of Epstein talk? He sounds like the grunt on Sopranos. He sounds like the assistant. He sounds like, hey, Jeffrey, would you go in the 7-Eleven and give me some cigarettes? Sure, boss. Yeah, sure. I'll go in there and do that for you. That's kind of what he sounds like. He's got kind of a little bit of a high voice, and he just sounds dumb as a rock. And then we see these emails that he's written within the Epstein files, and he can't spell. He can't work out a sentence. And it reminds me then of even people from SNL saying, yeah, Trump was on. He hosted SNL back a long time, years and years ago. And we realized he couldn't read. We all rely on cue cards. And Trump, he couldn't read the cue cards. And he would get mad because he didn't know a word. And he would go, I'm not going to use those, And they said he showed evidence that he couldn't read, And then when you watch him in real life, it's like when he's vamping, he's kind of talking normal, but then when he tries to read, it's all of a sudden like, Jack and Jill go, Jack and Jill, we know them, great, they're a great couple, I know them. Okay, Jack and Jill go up the hill, there's a big hill. A great hill. It was some say the best hill. Jack and Jill went up the hill to see. That's how, when he's actually reading, he sounds like he's just learning how to read in first grade. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't know. We're also hearing this last week about FCC licenses being pulled by, who cares who the guy is? Trump's head of the FCC, and Trump saying any news outlet that doesn't report what he wants them to, basically, should be held for treason and executed, is what he's saying. But at least our licenses should be pulled. So the FCC chairman is threatening to do that. And it makes me think, who cares? Who cares if ABC News can't get their license back? I have not relied on NBC, ABC, CBS. The only reason I would ever look at Fox is because something funny is happening. CNN is pretty much worthless. MS Now, even, they're cable, so they don't even need a license. The licenses are for NBC, CBS, ABC News. I myself wouldn't care if all three of those got shut down and went away. They're worthless. So who cares? This is part of things changing. A massive change needs to occur because our system is completely decimated. Trump is proving it. That's his role in this cosmic play on Earth right now, showing us that we need to tear down and get rid of everything and rebuild. It's not about the ending, it's about the new beginning. Let's take an early break. We'll come back and we'll start going through some of these other things too. But since I started talking about the new change and how does it happen, what do we do? Something very interesting is happening right now that I think is pretty amazing. And that's the main thing I wanted to talk about. And we're going to talk about it when we come back from this short break. On a satellite view, go to our website, satelliteviewpodcast.com. Sign up to be on our emailer. You'll get notified when we put out the new shows, which we do every week. Things go as planned. Also, go to YouTube and search for Satellite View Podcast, and then subscribe. It's free. You can also find me at Todd Mikkelson on Instagram, Blue Sky, other places. So, getting all that done, the thing that I think is amazing is that I had the thought, and I believe I mentioned it briefly last week, but even if I didn't, I had the thought that what if we everybody just started ignoring Donald Trump? All he is a playground bully and a mob boss. You know, so it's like he took the Playboy bully thing and got anointed as a mob boss just because he was born into money. Anyway, what if we just started ignoring Trump and he would lose all his power? He would lose all his interest in doing what he does. What if he walked into a press conference room and there were no reporters there to ask him questions? Of course, that's not going to happen. But there are headlines. I just find this so interesting. There are headlines, actually, using the word that Trump is being ghosted. I think Midas Touch put up a headline. The world is ghosting Trump. I don't think that was the headline, but that's what's happening. He was bullying, at least the UK. Starmer said, yeah, we'll send a ship to the Strait of Hormuz. It's not the Hormuz Straits, like Donald Trump says. It's just one strait. Strait is a geological land term, but he doesn't know that. So the Strait of Hormuz, and the UK was going to send a ship there, they said, like 2 weeks ago or so. And Trump said,
we don't need your. I think it's nice that you're gonna think you're gonna send it, but we don't need your ship anymore. We don't need anyone to come and try and help us out after we've already won this war.
But now he's saying,
why is nobody helping us?
So he's going back and forth. He's trying to get European countries, a big list of countries. It includes Japan and China and Australia, as well as a bunch of European countries. And he says, NATO, they're supposed to help us. And NATO's going, no, you started this war. You're not being attacked. So he's saying he's going to announce a coalition of countries, but he's been asking them, and it's been being leaked then, that all of them are saying, well, some of them are not saying a word. Some of them are truly, absolutely ghosting. Like he texts them and they don't text back. But the rest of them are saying, nope, nah, that doesn't sound like a good idea. We're not going to do that. But then he goes, well, we could open the straits, the Hormuz Straits. We could open them, but then everybody's still too scared to go through them because they might get shot at. Okay, so, and then Hegbreath goes, oh, there's nothing wrong going on in the Strait of Hormuz. It's open. It's just that, Iran keeps shooting at ships and lighting them on fire and blowing them up and sinking them. That's the only problem. That's not a problem. It's open. That's what they're saying. So, I mean, can you believe this? As I'm stopping myself here, realizing how fucking absurd this is. Anyway, so Trump is being ghosted. He's being ignored by these countries. Some of these countries are absolutely ignoring him. Some are at least answering him and saying, no fucking way. But some of them are just like completely ignoring him. And if a bully has nobody to bully, I also saw that it's getting more and more so that people are laughing at ICE members. They're humiliating them. They're laughing at them, making videos about, we're not scared of you. You can't do what you're supposed to do. You can't bully us because we're not scared of you. And they're laughing at them. People laughing at them to their face in the streets. People starting to ask them, hey, how's that $50,000 going? It turns out that the rollout for that $50,000 was something like, you get $10,000 if you sign this one thing, and then you get $10,000 after you've stayed for, 6 months or something, and then you get $10,000 once a year if you stay for 3 years, and that's what adds up to the $50,000? When everybody thought, I thought, it looked to me the way they were advertising it is the moment you sign up for ICE, we give you $50,000. That's not true. So a lot of them are talking about, I haven't been paid yet. So then people are saying, why are you doing this? You could quit, you idiot. So ICE has lost its teeth. Now, of course, there are still people being terrorized by ICE, but it's less and less. And the whole terror campaign on TV is pretty much shut down. That was their main purpose. So they are being pulled out of places. You still do hear stories about them doing horrible things in some places, but it's not like it was in January and February. So it's changing. It's changing. It really is. Trump is losing his power because people are just not caring anymore. Caroline Leavitt, his press secretary, basically had to say, when they're saying, well, the economy's really bad, oil is going to be $150 a barrel, gas is going up to $5 and $6, blah, 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 blah. She basically had to say, oh, yeah, we knew this was going to happen. So it's like, we knew it was going to be this bad, and we did it anyway. Then we hear leaks that it was only Trump. When they were talking about it, all of his cabinet members, all of the people around him were advising him not to do it. And it's reported through these leaks that it was him saying, I want to do it. I just really feel strong about it. I want to do it. Heather Cox Richardson points out the fact that the Biden administration was watertight. No leaks. The very few leaks, at least, and the only leaks were about Gaza. about some unrest within the administration about Gaza. Otherwise, no leaks. The Trump administration leaks like a sieve. And she pointed out that that happens when there's discontent within the ranks. That's why and how the leaks happen. Obviously, there are people on the inside who feel it's important to leak or make a report to somebody because they're terrified of what's going on. They know it's wrong, and they want somebody to find out about it so somebody can do something about it. I'm still going through my notes here, writing stuff down. I've heard people say, a friend of mine said to me, and I had the exact same thought when I saw, first of all, we have empowered Iran now. One thing the administration did not know was that Iran could do all that they have been doing. They've been attacking countries all around the Middle East. I don't know how many countries they're up to now that Iran has hit pretty hard. It is not going well because Trump had no idea that was going to happen. Of course, we've decimated all of our intelligence capabilities, so of course, we don't know what's going to happen at any given moment. Therefore, people are reporting that this war seems to be hurting the United States and Israel a lot more than it's hurting Iran. My first thought was, good! And then I kind of go, wait, the U.S., that's me, that's us. No, still, good. It's about time. We got to stop this. We're exceptional. We're the greatest country ever. Whether or not you think that's true, why do we got to strut it? Why do we got to act like a bully? Act like a jerk about it? So, like I said, Donald Trump's role in this cosmic play is to show us. So we have people in the United States who are kind of rooting for Iran. I mean, when I saw that, I'm not rooting for Iran. I hate war. I hate anybody doing anything that kills or hurts people. And I know the Iran regime is horrible terrorists themselves. But right now, I was just talking about ICE. We're terrorizing our people. Why do we think we're so much better? I mean, I think we are, don't get me wrong. But to have the feeling that, it's about time somebody shows us that we can't just do whatever we want. Kill 150 children. Just because we love blowing things up, but we're irresponsible about it. I mean, I really don't think that we did that on purpose. I believe the story that we were using old information, but it was old information. There are satellite pictures of that building with the playgrounds outside of it dating back to 2018. Why did our military not know that? So that's a pretty huge and stupid mistake. And we should not have the right to do that, but we do it anyway. We have started a lot of wars because of money. It's not the point that I want to talk about here, but Also, Trump was supposed to go to China. They're delaying the trip. I think that he's being told he can't fly that far or it'll kill him. I feel very strongly about that. He gets hopped up on something every once in a while. I mean, you see people who are in the last throes of a disease that, they're in their final days and they're given something to make them feel comfortable. And all of a sudden they come back. They feel so much better. But that doesn't mean that disease is still that disease is still there. And that's what's going on with Trump. It's been going on with Trump for a long time. He just did this absurd thing about maybe 2 hours ago where he was in a setting, in a press conference. He's sitting at a table. To his left is Susie Wiles. To his right is Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. And he goes, we're down to only, I want to say one vote, maybe two, but one, maybe 3, 2, 1 vote in the House. And Mike, you almost lost another one because somebody had a bad health thing. You want to say who it was? And Mike Johnson looks at him and like, what? Do you want to say who he was? I think he would be proud if we knew his name. Mike Johnson reluctantly turns his mic on and names the guy. I can't remember who he is. but he's a congressman from Florida. And he goes,
and what was the diagnosis?
And Mike Johnson looks at him like, because obviously this was private information of the guy. Mike Johnson looks at Trump like, what are you doing right now? And Trump hits him on his back really hard. And he kind of gets thrown forward into his mic. And then Trump says,
the diagnosis was he was going to be dead by June.
And Mike Johnson just goes, well, that wasn't public. It's a pretty amazing moment. You can find it. It happened today, a couple hours ago. And then he goes on, because he can't shut up. So then he goes on, and Mike Johnson says, and yeah, you then offered your doctors.
I got the greatest doctors. They're a miracle. It's like they do miracles. I got the greatest doctors. And once I heard we were going to lose another vote, I thought, you should use my doctors. And within a half an hour, he was on the operating table. And
I'm truncating a little bit because he just goes on and repeats practically every word at some point. So I'm just trying to get through the actual story to tell you. You can go find the clip and you'll see that I'm not exaggerating. Actually, what he's doing is even worse. So he's going on, and he's like,
and now he's got the newest stents in his heart, and he's got all the best things, all the best care, and now he's good as new.
And then Mike Johnson goes, yeah, he came back to a meeting, and he was looking like a new man. He looked half his age, and he said he feels great. And yeah, so yeah. My question is, why does everybody in America not have that same quality of care? Why are we spending apparently $11 billion within 5 or 6 days in a war in Iran that's completely unnecessary when we have the ability to treat people with their health issues like that, but we don't. We just don't. The only one we do treat is the one guy who really, the earth would be so much better if he was not here anymore. But he's kept alive by the best health care in the world. Exclusive, apparently, to him and probably some of his billionaire elite friends that are only staying his friends because they know they need to stay his friends so that he still protects them from being released in the Epstein files. It's quite maddening. I want to end by saying, sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm going to talk about on this show because it feels like we can't do this for another week. Yet another week goes by and we're still doing this. I feel like people are going to go, I'm not going to listen to that Todd Mikkelson guy anymore. He keeps telling me, things are going to get better. He's all Mr. Optimistic, and things just get worse. Yes, I am Mr. Optimistic. I do see things changing. The change is very difficult. People are talking about the change. I'm seeing people starting to get more optimistic, not just me. We are going through a systematic change. We are going through an ultimate change, and it is very difficult. It's like being born or probably dying. You have to die before you go to heaven is a saying. The dying part sucks, but heaven's great. Going through the birth canal and, coming into a room with fluorescent lights after you have been, in a warm womb for 9 months probably sucks. But then you've been waiting to do this thing. And, so the change is really difficult. But once you go through it, it's better on the other side. We are seeing that we need to change everything. Our systems of money, our systems of everything. We're seeing all of the defects in our legal system, in our government system, and we need to build something better. And the best way to do that, if you just keep refurbishing the old house that wasn't built right in the first place, it's never going to work out the way that you want. You need to tear it to the ground and rebuild it. And I believe that is what is going on. I really do. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to mention. Why is Netanyahu seeming to put out so many quote-unquote proof of life videos. There are strong rumors that he's dead. I don't think he is. I think he's hiding in Hungary and waiting for Hungary to tear away from the ICC, because if he does go out, in one of the videos he's out buying a cup of coffee. If he actually does go out and buy, and when's the last time he went out by himself and bought a cup of coffee? That's in one of the videos. It's such BS. The videos to me look fake, but that doesn't mean he's dead. I think he's hiding. And I don't think he minds that people think he's dead, because the better he hides, the less chance he will be arrested by the International Criminal Courts, the ICC, that Hungary still is under. And if he does go out and buy a cup of coffee, he will be arrested and tried and convicted as a war criminal. That's what's going on with Netanyahu. Why it's not going on with Trump is really a crime, but, because Netanyahu is the one who's leading Trump into this war along with Putin. But anyway, so much more to talk about. I know I didn't touch on the Ukraine and Russia thing. Things are not going well in Moscow. Apparently explosions. They haven't had internet access for weeks now. It's getting pretty bad in Russia. So it looks that Ukraine is still making progress there. Again, experts were saying they saw Russia collapsing in last September. So who knows? Again, with Todd says every week's going to be better, and it never is. I'm not going to listen to his show anymore. I totally get it. It is really difficult. But I am seeing all around me people starting to live their lives, starting to just kind of go, you know what? I'm sick of watching this. They're turning away from Trump. Ghosting Trump. Ghosting ICE. We're not afraid of ICE. They've lost their power because their purpose was to terrorize us, and you can't terrorize somebody who's not scared of you. And we're done with Trump. And he can tell the attention is being lost. He wants to still be saying,
I talked to all the countries. They all came in and said, sir. They all came in they had tears in their eyes, begging me to please, can we send our ships to the straits and help you out?
That's what he wants. But nobody is coming and talking to him anymore. He can't tell us stories about people talking to him anymore because everyone's ghosting him. A pretty amazing development. And I think what I'm learning is I feel like I might have an inkling of what's going to happen in the next week or weeks. And instead, things happen differently. And a lot of the things that I thought were going to be completely impossible happen. Right after the election in 2024, I thought, we just need to show the proof that Trump stole the election and then Kamala becomes president. Well, that would be building the house onto the foundation that sucks. Kamala herself says it. She doesn't want to be a part of it. She wants to be a part of something new, I think. She hasn't made any big announcement about that, but she also hasn't stopped being active. She also hasn't stopped acting like she's running a campaign, although there's no media on it. So what does she know that we don't know? Anyway, what I thought was going to happen didn't happen, and if it would have happened, it would not have been as good as what I think is happening now. Is kind of what I'm trying to say. And what is happening now is so much more difficult than the route that I thought we should take more than a year ago. But this one is thorough. It takes more time, work, effort, pain, blood, sweat, and tears to completely tear down what you thought was the beloved house and build a brand new one on top of it instead of trying to salvage part of what you thought was the beloved house. That's what we need to do to the United States and our government. You've heard me say it maybe a month ago, I was a huge fan of the White House, and now I don't care if it gets tore down because I can see We don't want to hero worship so that we don't replace what we thought was our hero with a better new one. That's what improving is. That's what progress is. That's why I call myself a progressive. All right, I've gone overtime now, and I thank you so much if you're still here with me. And I hope you come back next week. I'm trying my best to report on things maybe you don't know about. And I think we need to start having more fun again. I think we were doing that a little while ago, but we need to realize this is just so ridiculous. And one of the best things we can do is just to ghost Trump. So let's have fun with it. Even more so next week. I promise you we'll do that. And so stay frosty and ghost Trump. And remember that I am here with you, and I thank you so much for being here with me. Together, we're getting through this. We really are. We really are getting through this together. So thank you so much for being with me here, and I will speak at you next week.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.